Hi, today I'm here at Coffs Harbour Airport and my destination is down to Nambucca Heads. Now, when you get to Coffs Harbour Airport, there's a few ways you can get from the airport to Nambucca Heads. You can hire a car or you can catch a taxi. Now, the taxi's going to cost you a bit over $100 probably, but there is another way of doing it. You can catch the local buses from Coffs Harbour Airport. The first one leaves the airport and it takes you down to Tormina, just down a little bit south near Sawtell, and then you change there for another bus which will take you through to Nambucca Heads. And the whole trip costs you about $10. Now if you've got a seniors card, it'll only cost you $2.50. But if you're just arriving, just walk out of the arrivals over there and just walk along here, and the bus stop is just here on the other side of the road. Now as you can see, there's plenty of shelter here at the bus stop, but unfortunately there's no seats. Yes, and by the way, my name's Kerry and welcome to my YouTube channel, Public Transport and Card Hacks. Now when you get on the bus, just tell the bus driver where you're going and he'll sell you a ticket for the whole trip. Anyway, this looks like the bus coming now. And the bus we want is bus 392 and it's run by a company called CDC, and it's going to take us from here in the Coffs Harbour Airport through to Tormina, where we change for Busways number 360, which is going to take us down to Nambucca Heads. Here it comes now, bus number 392 to Bonville, but we're going to get off at Tormina.
I think they'll pick up more people on this trip ever.
This is the most people you've ever picked up.
I think so. I'm normally driving along talking to myself.
I can imagine. Oh, that's really funny, the bus driver. There's another passenger got on here at the airport also. So him plus me makes two people. And this is the most, you reckon this is the most he's ever picked up. Now, that's acceptable, I can imagine that, because this bus service hasn't been going for very long. I think it's only been going, how long? For about a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. So if you're coming to Coffs Harbour, do us all a favour and catch the bus to keep it going. Anyway, enjoy the trip. Okay mate, thanks very much. See you next time.
Yeah.
Well, here we are at Tormina, and we've got I think I've got about 25 minutes to wait for the next bus, which is going to take us down to Nambucca Heads, and that's Busways number 360. Now, if you've got a while to wait for your bus, duck into Toormina Gardens Shopping Centre here. You can get a cup of coffee, you can have a look around while you wait for the bus. Yes, here's our bus now, Busways number 360, destination Maxville. Well, welcome to Nambucca Heads. Well, here we are at the main bus stop at Nambucca Heads. Thanks, mate.
You're welcome. See you next time.
See ya. Well, here we are at the Nambucca Heads bus stop, and just behind me you can see is Woolies. And also a little bit further down are a couple of motels and also the RSL Club. Now we're going to go down and we'll check them out, and then we'll walk down to the river and along to the V-wall and the beach. Okay, let's go. Okay, this road leads down to the V-wall, but you can't walk down there because it's a little bit too narrow and winding. And there's a little track going down just over here. Here's a track going down to the river, Nambucca River, and also to the V-wall. Now just down here is a motel called the Beach Rooms. Now, some of you might remember this motel from many years ago. Now the idea of a motel first started off in the USA back in the 1920s. But the idea didn't catch on to in Australia to about, I think the first motel in Australia was back in 1957 in Victoria. And then this one was built, and it was originally called the Blue Dolphin. And a lot of people might remember, if you're the same age as me, you might remember it. It was very chic at the time. You know, in those days, when you went away in the early 60s, there wasn't, where you stayed at a pub or you camped at a campground or you stayed at a guest house. Now good chance the campground, you stayed there, would have cold showers. You stayed at the guest house, or the hotel, you'd probably have to share a bathroom. But these rooms, the Blue Dolphin, had their own ensuite. So it was pretty good for the time, and it was very popular. Now just past the Blue Dolphin is the Nambucca RSL Club and also the Motel Miramar. Now the good thing about the Motel Miramar and the Beach Rooms is that they have excellent views of Nambucca Heads. Now since I live here in Nambucca Heads, I can't give you a tour of the rooms at the Hotel Miramar or the Beach Rooms Motel, but I can assure you that the food is good here at the Nambucca Heads RSL Club. They have an excellent lunch, $15, and for $15 you also get a schooner of beer, cup of coffee, soft drink or a glass of wine. You can't beat that. It certainly has a nice view from the inside. Now, if you want to have the lunch here, you'll have to join. And I'll leave a link in the description for the Nambucca Heads RSL Club, so you can join before you come up to get the $15 lunch. I think it's about $5 a year to join. Now I'm having the pork loin with chips and veggies. Now that includes a beer, but just $15. Like, that's not a bad deal.
Perfect view with all the winding river, the mountains Very beautiful.
Very nice. And there's a cafe down there.
I was here, she was there.
And of course for the fishermen amongst us. G'day mate, how you going? Now the cafe is right on the river. Now here's the start of the boardwalk around the river. And this boardwalk is going to take us right up to the end of the V wall. And along the way, we're going to check out a few more coffee shops, restaurants, tennis courts, and other places where you can stay.
Always going to sleep.
Also very popular with dog walkers. And of course, if you do bring your car and your boat along, there's a good launching ramp here. There's the track coming down just behind the children's playground. There's the track coming down from the bus stop, and also there's the back of the beach rooms. And of course, just over there, there's tennis courts, a couple more restaurants. Now that's a nice piece of art, isn't it? Beautiful. The Wall Street Cafe. And just across the road from the Wall Street Cafe, we've got Matilda's. And next to Matilda's is a general store, Matilda's Pantry. Now we'll continue walking along the river walk. The major industries here in Nambucca Heads was of course timber getting and boat building and fishing. And also cattle and growing tomatoes. They even grew tomatoes here and sent them down to Sydney on the train. And of course bananas. But now all that's gone, and probably the biggest industry here, the biggest employer here is probably Woolworths in the education department. And this area I'm standing in here was once a shipyard. And if you look over here, there's a couple of logs, which you can still see those logs, which are evidently part of the old slipway. And of course there was one famous ship built here called the Royal Tar. They're built here out of the local timber, and it plied the shipping routes between Australia, Japan, America and New Zealand, carrying coal and timber. And her most famous voyage was to Paraguay in 1893, where an attempt was made to set up a socialist state called New Australia. She was eventually wrecked at Shearer Rock in New Zealand in 1901 while carrying a load of coal. And there she is, the bark Royal Tar. It's one of the timber mills, which would have been just behind us. Just here is more accommodation, Marcel Towers, and of course you've got a good view of the Nambucca River and the heads out there. Now here we have in front of me, which can only be described as a Nambucca institution. It's called the Glen, and it's a guest house, and it's been here for a long time. And it's been beautifully restored, but I think it's mainly a private residence now. And my father told me a story about when he had just started work or he just finished school, and a friend from work or school invited him up to Nambucca Heads, and they stayed at the Glen because his friend's auntie owned the guest house. And my father told me how one night they got a bottle of muscat, and they walked up to the lookout, which is just behind the Glen. It's just up there. You can see over here on the right there's a rail going up a stairway to the lookout on the top of the hill. Anyway, they drank the muscat, and my father told me he woke up the next morning and he had a horrible hangover. This is probably the first time he'd ever drank, I think. Anyway, after that was enough for him, he said. He never drank for another 40 years after that. Now, the date today is the 1st of June, and we've had some serious floods here on the north coast. And the Nambucca River here flooded up near, they had minor flooding at Maxville. But at the moment, the river is very muddy. This area here is a very popular swimming area. In the summertime it's crowded with people. Now, it's not only is it popular, but it's very safe too. Is the little deck sound? Yeah. Just on the left is the V-Wall Tavern. There's also a coffee shop in there, and you can get lunch. And also at the V-Wall Tavern you can get lunch and dinner. The caravan park has numerous cabins, and there's all types of accommodation here actually. Here's an idea of the cabins, which has got quite a nice water view. So if you come here for the water and you want to be near the beach, probably the caravan park, the cabins in the caravan park would be the best place to stay. Behind me is Nambucca Heads' famous big pelican. Okay, he's not as big as the big prawn, but he's big enough. Okay, we'll take a quick walk out along the V-Wall. Now that headland out there, just out there, is Smoky Cape. You're encouraged to sign or paint your name or paint a picture on the rocks. Here's more cabins in the caravan park. There's a full view, and as you can see, it's in quite a good location. Nice piece of artwork. And there's more up here.
Something like that. But he's not.
Well, just there is a there's another walkway which takes us over to another beach on the northern side. This is a little peninsula we're on the northern side. It's called Shelly Beach, and it's a great place in the winter because it's well protected from the southerlies and southeasterlies. So if you get a warm day in the winter, it's quite a nice place to be. Anyway, well, first of all, we'll take a walk out to the Wellington Rock at the end of the V-wall here. We'll walk out there, have a look at Wellington Rock and come back and head over to Shelly Beach. Here we are at the end of the V-wall, and over there is Wellington Rock. Now you can actually walk around the point, but it's a bit rough today, so we'll take the bush track. Yeah, Wellington Rock's the scene of a lot of shipwrecks over the years. Okay, here we are back at the turn off to Shelly Beach. We'll take a walk over there. It's just a 5-minute walk. Well, here we are at the Shelly Beach lookout. There's the coastline looking north to Valor Beach and right through to Coffs Harbour. And down below is Shelly Beach. Let's head down and have a look. Well, today there's no sun and it's 1st of June. Don't need a coat. Ah, here we are. Someone going in. We'll take a walk up here and that'll take us through to Main Beach, where we're going to find the Nambucca Heads Surf Club. And there's also another cafe and restaurant there. You're not going to starve or die of thirst here. Looks like we're going to get a bit of sun, finally. Well, here we are coming on to Main Beach with the Surf Lifesaving Club. And just up the top of the balcony coming out, there's a cafe and a restaurant. Well, you certainly can't complain about the view. Now from here, you can walk up, back along the beach and back into town, or you can walk up this steep hill here. And it is a steep hill, which will get you to a lookout just up here. Now if you suffer from angina or some other heart condition, you might want to give this one a miss. Okay, here we are at the lookout at the top of the hill. And Coffs Harbour up there. Okay, I'm going to head back into town now, and we'll see you at the bus stop for the trip back to Coffs Harbour Airport. Here's the main street of Nambucca Heads, and it's called Bowra Street. And of course, here's the bus stop. Now this is for buses heading back into Coffs Harbour or Tormina, where we're going. Now of course, we arrived at a bus stop just over the hill down past the post office there. Now, why they didn't put another bus stop, that bus stop across the road, I don't know. Now of course, this bus stop is for all buses heading north up into Coffs Harbour, or all busway buses heading north to Coffs Harbour. Now there are some other buses that also come to Nambucca Heads, including Greyhound, and also Premier Motor Service also runs between Sydney and Brisbane, which they stop at Nambucca Heads also. But they don't stop at either of these bus stops. They only stop at this bus stop, which is out of town, out near the highway. Now, the only other bus service that doesn't stop here is occasionally, or quite often, New South Wales Trainlink. They cancel the XBT services and they put on buses. Now those buses don't stop here either. They only stop at Nambucca Heads railway station. Now, the last thing. The services here aren't very good for the weekend. In fact, there's only a couple of buses that run on a Saturday, and I'm not sure about Sunday. The services are very limited. So you're best off to do this trip on a Monday to Friday, where there is a bus every hour or two. Now, with all that information up your sleeve, there's no chance that you're going to get lost. Here comes the bus now. First stop, Bella Beach. Here we are back at Urunga again. Here we are at Tormina, and change here for the next bus through to the airport.
Good luck.
Now we need the 392 to take us to the airport. Well, there's the Woolgoolga service, 393. We're after the 392. Here's the 392 now. Take me the last step to the airport. Thanks a lot. See ya. Here we are at Coffs Harbour Airport. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that gave you some ideas on where to stay in Nambucca and how to get from the airport, of course, to Nambucca without spending a great deal of money. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.